All right, with me now is CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair. Tom, great to see you. Always appreciate your time.
Good to be with you, Scott.
Yeah, Trump and Carney will meet tomorrow. Carney said expects difficult but constructive talks. How do you see Carney holding his own against the U.S. president amidst all these ongoing threats?
Well, Trump will always be Trump and very difficult to deal with. For example, Carney, of course, made it known during the campaign that he was only going to meet with Trump if Trump stopped musing about making Canada the 51st state. So what did Trump do? Exactly that, because he sees in that an advantage when he's going to start negotiating with Canada. So it's pure Trump. I mean, he's the guy. I mean, he's been convicted 34 times of criminal offenses by the American courts, lifelong con artist and storyteller and prevaricator. And so he's going to continue playing that sort of game. Now, the problem for Trump is he wants a new deal between Canada-U.S. and Mexico, but he's the one who wrote and signed the last deal that he's no longer respecting. So at some point, being Donald Trump has a downside, which is nobody can make a deal with you because you're just a pathological liar and you don't respect your own signature on the existing trade deal. Carney's in a tough spot because, of course, he had said exactly what I just quoted before, but he has no choice. He was elected on a promise to be able to deal with Trump and with the United States under Trump. It's going to be a tough meeting, as Carney has already pointed out, but I think that Mark Carney has probably dealt with much more serious issues over time. And this too will pass, but he's got to deal with Trump, and it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, so picking up on the conversation about his ongoing threats, obviously we heard from that clip from NBC's Meet the Press on the weekend, reiterating these comments once again. How does Carney ultimately navigate this? Where is he looking at as just bluster or trying to get down to a deal and carve through some of the noise and the narrative?
Scott, I think that both those things are true. And one has to do with form, the other has to do with substance. So the bluster is the form. It's pure Trump. Question, does Mark Carney accept to sit in that dunce chair, the one where J.D. Vance and Trump scolded Zelensky, for example? Does he go through that humiliation of letting Trump control the meeting to that extent? And I don't mean that Trump's going to be as bad with Carney as he was with Zelensky. I mean that the actual setup of that room with those chairs is purpose made for Donald Trump and for his advantage. So I think that one of the first things that Mr. Carney and the people around him had to decide in going down there, are they going to accept to do that? Then we get to the substantive side. We talked about the trade deal, Canada, U.S., Mexico. A lot of the things that Trump said are falling apart. Because if you're spending $8,000 or $10,000 US more for a pickup truck because Trump has decided that the supply chain between Canada, the United States, and Mexico no longer pertains, then he's shooting himself in the foot because he got elected on a promise to reduce inflation, not to cause inflation. Just very discreetly last week, the tariffs on Canadian auto parts that are part of that supply chain was lifted. Why? Because every auto company in the United States had explained to Trump what was going to happen if he didn't. So he's not, he's not an economic genius. But Mark Carney is. But Mark Carney's dealing with a carnival huckster, not with a serious head of state. And he's got to deal with Trump because Trump is the head of the U.S. government. I mean, that's the conundrum that he's in. So Carney will bring deep experience and smarts to the table. Trump will bring exactly what you just said, Scott. Lots of bluster, even musing about the 51st state. This is the guy who last week managed to insult tens of millions of Roman Catholics in the United States by openly mocking the role and the function of Pope. So there's nothing that this guy won't do to get attention for himself. So this meeting is going to be about attention for Donald Trump. Getting down to cases and talking what can actually be done, that's up to Carney and the Canadian side. We'll see if we can get anywhere with him.
I just want to get one more question to you. We're up against the time, but, can Carney bring anything specific, anything concrete? Despite the musings of Donald Trump, there are, legitimate concerns back and forth across the border, potentially defense, military spending. Is there anything Carney can do to appease the U.S. president on specific concerns they might have between the two countries?
Well, the concerns with regard to defense are with regard to NATO and Canada's consistent failure to live up to our 2% obligation.
Right.
So Carney's already got that on the table during the campaign, and he can reiterate it. There's also a big purchase of fighter jets that was planned, to buy the American fighter jets. But now we're talking openly about finding more ability to source that type of equipment in Europe. And I think that that would be a good thing. We don't have to do it right away, but knowing that that is part of our options is definitely a bit of an advantage for us, because the Americans, Mr. Trump says he subsidizes Canada $200 billion a year. That's just pure fantasy. There is a trade advantage for Canada because we are exporting oil and gas at a discount to the United States. And Trump turns around and tries to say that because he's getting it at a discount and he's getting more of it, that is a subsidy by the U.S. to Canada. It's madness. It doesn't hold up to the slightest analysis. I would love to be in the room when Carney asks him, with a straight face, could you explain to me your $200 billion subsidy? Of course, Trump can't explain it, but what Trump knows how to master is you go on Meet the Press, you repeat. Oh, no, the problem is we're subsidizing Canada to the tune of $200 billion. We've already dealt with fentanyl, which was a fantasy to begin with. We named somebody in charge of it. 0.4% of the fentanyl coming into the States is from Canada. It's a fake excuse to get around the trade deal that he signed. Same thing with regard to the film industry over the weekend. He said it's a threat to the United States national security to have films made in other countries. So this is Donald Trump. This is our guy, Mark Carney, going there to try to reason with him. That's going to be a tough road to hoe, but I do hold a fair bit of hope that if anybody can do this, it's Mark Carney.
CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair will be watching closely as that meeting takes place tomorrow. Tom, thanks so much.
All the best, Scott. Take care.